To work with our veteran players, yet also be dedicated to interact with our young players for our organization to take the next step. We are extremely excited to announce today Lane Lambert as the new head coach of the Seattle Kraken. Congratulations.
Thanks, Jason. Ecstatic to be here, obviously. It's a thrilling day for myself and my family. And welcome to everyone in here. First and foremost, I'd like to thank Samantha Holloway, ownership group, and Ron Francis, our president, Jason Botterill, our general manager. Thank you for instilling the confidence to appoint me to this position. Being a coach in the National Hockey League is a privilege at any level, and being a head coach in the National Hockey League is an honor. There's one of 32 positions, and I'm greatly honored to take this position. So thank you very much. Going through the process, when I came in here, I knew within about the first 3 minutes that I had conversations that I wanted to be here. The organization is first class all the way. the facilities, everything on down. I could see that right away, and I knew I wanted to be here. And then we started talking about the players and the team, and I was all in. I'm looking forward to getting training camp started in September and building our culture, and our identity right from day one. So it will come fast, and we'll be ready for that. And then just finally, I wouldn't be here without the support of my family, my wife Annie, who is in the back there, and our 4 kids, 2 daughters, Samantha and Taylor, and then the sons Cole and Cade. You know, many sacrifices have been put forth by them in order for me to be able to sit here in this position right now and speak to you. So it's kind of a family affair for me, and even though I'm the only one sitting up here, the family's sitting up here with me. So I can't wait to get started. I can't wait to set up roots in Seattle here, and my wife and I get involved in the community. The fan support, the fan base is phenomenal. Standing behind the visitors bench, and watching the passion and the volume of the crowd, I can't wait to do it as a home coach. Really looking forward to it. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Mike Benton, KGR Radio. Lane, congratulations. Welcome to Seattle. Jason, thank you for doing this also. Lane, first off, if we can get into philosophy and identity a little bit here. How much of that from your previous stops and experiences do you see carrying over here for this team?
A lot. You know, I mean, that's what experience does for you. You know, and over the years, you know, Jason's talked about the playoff rounds and things like that. There's a formula to win. And you know, the culture, the identity, the standard that's set every day is the philosophy, and you live by the standard, you know, both on and off the ice, and you go through the process. As long as you're doing the right things in the process, the results will take care of themselves.
One, we had some movement on the staff from this last week, and any idea of what's looking like here for the coaches and the coaching staff here for the bench coming up here?
Well, first of all, Jess will be back. You know, I've had some good conversations with her. She's been integral in the development of some of our young players, so she'll be back. We are going through the process of evaluating, and you know, we're in a position right now to find the best people to add to the staff and put them in a position to have success.
Lane, welcome. Glenn Dreyfus with Davy Jones Locker Room. 2 questions, please, about balance. First, 2 years ago, the Kraken stressed defense. The offense suffered last year. The team stressed offense. The defense suffered. Will you be in the lab working on the magic potion to balance those out, and how do you expect to do that?
Well, there is a balance, and, you know, there's a fine line between one or the other, but you know, the structure and the details that a team plays with leads to both. And you know, I'm proud of the defensive abilities that my teams have had, but in saying that, defense is about getting the puck back. If you don't have the puck, you know, you're in trouble. So the faster you can get the puck back, the more structure you're in to get the puck back, and then it turns into a transition game, and transition is so important in this league. So yes, we'll be strong defensively, we'll be strong structurally, but we will also create offense, and we'll play fast. We'll be aggressive. We'll be at the net in the offensive zone. We'll shoot pucks. So these are things that, you know, if you look at the balance and you look at, oh, you're stressing offense or you're stressing defense, there's both in there.
The other balance question is the prospects and the young players who are the future of this franchise. Playing them is not always conducive to winning on a particular night. So how will you balance getting the young players, the prospects, their reps, so they can be the future, with doing your best to win every night?
Well, you know, and that's one of the things that really intrigued me when we sat down and talked about the team. I think we've got a balanced team, and I think that the youth, along with the veterans, they create the balance. There's no question about it. And you know, as far as using that balance or creating that, I think young players used in the right moments at the right times can help you win, no question about it.
Murray from Como News here in Seattle. Nice to meet you, Lane. A similar question about balance, but about how this team has veterans, but also those young players we've talked about. What is the excitement to, be able to bring those young guys along with that veteran presence in your locker room?
Well, I think it's tremendously exciting, and again, when we sat down and talked and looked at the personnel, that was one of the things that excited me, and that's where the development side of it is. In terms of there's an emphasis there to develop on the fly a little bit, so to speak, but we have good young players in this organization, and that's exciting.
And I would just follow up on that a little bit too. Is just look, we have young players in the National Hockey League that are clearly National Hockey League players. And Matty Beniers, Shane Wright, Riker Evans, they've proven that they certainly can be here. It's our job of our staff in Coachella Valley, led by Derek Laxdal, and our player development staff, led by Jeff Tambellini, to now prepare these players to be ready for National Hockey League games, so that they're ready to be inserted in the lineup. It's not Lane's job just to develop a junior player to create and put them in the National Hockey League. It's our job, the staff, to give Lane players who are ready to play National Hockey League games.
Danny Bach, Eli Sports Network. Lane, congratulations. You mentioned about how your family is the cornerstone to who you are. Who else helps you in your hockey journey?
Well, there's experiences. I could probably go through about 50 people right now, and I'd end up forgetting somebody, so it wouldn't be fair. But, the journey itself started way back when, and, as a player and as a pro, in 1983 as a player. So there's many, many people that have been very influential in my development, from a playing side, then also to a coaching side. Dave Tippett is a guy that I rely on. I've had another coach that I coach with named Claude Noel, who's a guy that is a mentor of mine. So, I think you can take everything or something from every coach that you've been with, whether it be good or bad. You'd be like, yes, I'll do that, or no, I wouldn't do that.
And then when you found out, when it became official that you were the next head coach for the Seattle Kraken, what went through your head?
My wife and I high-fived. And they may have heard it through the phone, but just ecstatic, like elated to come to the city, and again, like I said, when we went through the team and the roster, the vision for the team, philosophies, everything aligned for me, so it was a perfect fit. I was just pretty super excited, yeah.
Lane, welcome to Seattle. Aaron Levine, Fox 13. 4 years ago, Ron Francis talked about building this team through a 5-year plan. Here we are in year 5, through no fault of your own, here in your first season. But how much pressure do you feel to have a winner right away and perform to that standard that is expected of making a playoff run in this 5th season of the Kraken franchise?
Well, I don't feel the pressure of that. I have an expectation on myself of my role, my job, my abilities. And again, I alluded to it a little bit earlier about, you start day one, it's a process, it's a journey. And, if you do the right things through that journey and do the right things every day, look to get better every day and stick with the process, then the results take care of themselves. You can't get too far ahead of yourself.
Coach Lambert, Allison Lucan, the Seattle Kraken and Kraken Hockey Network. Some of these players are familiar faces to you. Can you share any conversations you've had with players you've coached before and how valuable that will be as you continue to build this team for the upcoming season?
Yeah, I think, obviously Jordan Eberle, Chandler Stevenson, Andre Burakovsky, Philip Grubauer, these guys have played for me before. They know exactly what to expect. I'm pretty straightforward. I'm fair, but I'm demanding, and they know exactly what they're going to get. They're aware of the detail that we will play with, and they're excited about it. And in talking to the other guys I haven't coached, that seems to be the theme here, is everybody's excited. We can't wait for September.
Allison Ballard, Davy Jones locker room. Jason, Lane gave us a little bit of his own perspective on his coaching style and philosophies, but I'm just curious about yours. What about the way Lane spoke about this team and articulates his thoughts about the game in general made him stand out to you in that respect throughout the hiring process?
No, and it was a situation where both Ron and myself had to get to know Lane a little bit. It wasn't as if we had previous relationships with him. When you put a list together of all the possible candidates, you're trying to look at different things. We talked about leadership. We talked about someone focused on working with our young players, but also having a presence to handle our veteran players. And as we started going through things with Lane, we realized, well, we're talking a lot of the same vision. And I think he touched on it a little bit on his previous answer, that I think Lane's track record as a really good defensive coach, PK coach, is certainly there. And when we started getting into the details of it, we certainly saw that. But then there was that thought process of, why are we so strong defensively? Why are we aggressive? It's to get the puck and to attack, to get to the neutral zone, to get into the offense zone from that standpoint. Then you start looking at things, and people throw out a lot that there are winners, right? That, oh, yes, we know what it takes to win. That's not always truly the case. You have to win to have that experience. And the fact that he's won a Stanley Cup, the fact that he won championships as a player, the fact that he's been in the playoffs so many times, we felt that was another experience, another attribute that really would help our group. So, no, both Ron and myself certainly enjoyed our interactions, the communications. Every time we had another interview with him, we just felt more comfortable with him as our future head coach.
Darren Brown from Sound of Hockey and NHL.com. Lane, congratulations. Curious, from your previous stint as a head coach with the Islanders, what are some of the things that, when you look back on that experience, you take away from, whether it's things you would like to continue doing or do similarly or do differently, just what you learned from that?
Yeah, it's a great question. Again, you go through an experience like that, and you get let go, and you have a lot of time to reflect. And if you don't have an ego, you can certainly say, "Gee, I'd do this a little bit differently, or I'd do that a little bit differently," or I'd do this or that the same. I mean, from my standpoint, our defensive structure, the identity that we had, the identity that we played with, I'm proud of that. There's certain little things that I will look at and look into changing. But at the end of the day, I'm proud of what happened in New York.
Matt Calkins with the Seattle Times. Lane, as Aaron said a second ago, the results haven't been there over the past couple of years through no fault of your own. But to fans that are skeptical that this thing can be turned around quickly, what would you say about the pieces that you have and why you'd be able to do that?
Well, I think that when I look at our team and I look at our balance, I think that first of all, we've got great young talent. We've got our veteran players, which we've already alluded to. But the detail of the structure, everybody being on the same page, I think is going to be huge. We have a back-to-back record that wasn't good last year. That's going to change because of the structure and the detail. And so from that standpoint, I'm looking forward to getting started.
Hi, Calvin J. Emerson with Seattle Gay News. I'd like to say this is the first press conference our publication has been invited to ever, so we thank the larger Kraken organization for having us here, and we want to congratulate you, Lane, on your new coaching position.
Thank you.
So, next season, the Kraken will be joined by another team, the PHWHL Seattle, a brand new women's hockey team. When they begin practice, they will do so right here at the Kraken Community Iceplex, which means your team will be the third NHL franchise alongside the Wild and the Maple Leafs to share a practice facility with a PWHL equivalent. As a coach who has seen the game change over the decades, what do you think the Kraken and this new Seattle team can learn from each other in the years and seasons to come?
What?
Okay. Yeah. Well, I was fortunate enough to be in Toronto and share that, like you had mentioned. We had a lot of communication with the coaching staff, with the players there. I think you can learn from each other on a daily basis, and so whether it be different tactics or things like that, it's an opportunity for both franchises, both organizations to learn from each other, and I'm looking forward to it.
And I would also say that Megan's already reached out and had conversations with Ron on just different ways of setting up a team to start off with. And I think it's one of the success stories of the Kraken right now is just our involvement with youth hockey in the area, growing the game of hockey in the Pacific Northwest. And to me, this is just another step in the right direction.
Thank you very much. One more question. There's currently, because of recent changes, a vacancy in the goaltending coach role. When you figure out who is going to fill that role, what will you be looking for in that person, and how will you hope them to continue developing the performances of Decord and Grubauer on the ice?
No, I think it's going to be an important piece for our organization. Not only an NHL goalie coach doesn't only have an impact on your two goalies at the National Hockey League. That's obviously their main focus, but it's also throughout the entire organization. And obviously with some of our draft picks in the past, you saw Mr. Coco come up this past year for a little bit of a time. This is a big part of our future, and making sure the NHL goalie coach has great communication throughout our entire organization, from working with our CV staff, working with our player development staff. It's going to be something that we certainly look at. And I think it's a unique role. I think it's part technical standpoint, working with the goalies from that standpoint, part building relationships from a mental aspect. We hope to name someone in the near future here to round out the staff.
All right. Thank you for your time.
Yeah.
Mike Varell, Seattle Times, Lane right over here. You said earlier there's a formula to win. What's the formula to win here specifically, and kind of what are the non-negotiables in a Lane Lambert team to get to that point?
The non-negotiables are, we have to play the right way, and that is the formula. Now, you ask what that is. It's, I could go on for an hour talking about what that right way is. So those are the non-negotiables. Everyone has to be, everyone has to be on the same page, and when they are, you will have success. Everybody's responsible for a job. Everybody has a role. Everybody knows what that role is, and there aren't any gray areas. So my job is to provide an environment for our players to be prepared, to have success, and to make sure that they are ready to go and understand exactly what their job is.
Hey, Lane, and Bots, thanks for doing this. Bob Condor from the Kraken. Lane, in terms of accountability, what does that look like day to day? Obviously, you're going to communicate, your coaching staff, other players. How do you get that to be where you want it to be?
Well, you set a standard, and you don't deflect from that standard. You don't deviate from that standard. And again, it's an everyday thing. And you do the same things every day, repetition. And if something isn't right, you take care of it. You have to nip it. And so that is the key to the accountability. You can't turn a blind eye and let something slide.
You mentioned that you've played a while ago, right? And how has the game changed in your mind over those years in terms of what you want to get done as a coach, maybe than 15 years ago or 20 years ago?
Well, first of all, when I played, the players are way better now. So, it's a completely different game. And, as we go forward here, when I started coaching this league 14 years ago, the game has evolved from there as well. There's the kids, the younger generation coming in today are more skilled. They're faster. Everything just seems to elevate from that standpoint. But really, when you really look at it, the foundation and the fundamentals of the game still remain the same. I can watch film from 1965 Stanley Cup playoffs, and there is a foundation and the fundamentals that are still there today. And that's the key, is making sure that we understand what the foundation, what our fundamentals are.
Coach Mark Muschietti from Associated Press. Looking at last year and a lot of the major stats, the Kraken were in the lower half, lower third, lower quarter of the league, face-offs, shots, PK, power play. Based on your style, your philosophy, your ideas, do any one of those maybe rank higher on your priority list as far as getting those things addressed?
Well, I think I think when you talk about it, you talk about a lot of different things, and there's priorities in certain areas, but everything has to be addressed, right? And so, you can't build Rome in a day, and that's the whole process about, from day one, you start with a process, you start demanding, and you start instilling your systems, your structure, your detail, and, we go from there. But definitely our special teams Our special teams have to be better. Defensively, we'll be better in our defensive zone. I know we will be. So from that standpoint, that would probably be the start with the focus.
Lane, Paul Sylvie from King TV. Welcome to Seattle, first of all. And, being a Detroit native, I know things have changed a lot since the Red Wings drafted you back in the 80s. But what's your take on overall team toughness? I mean, we've seen it seems like it's coming back a little bit more throughout the NHL. What's your overall take?
Well, you know what? It's evolving. It's evolved out. At the end of the day, team toughness is about players that are willing to go to certain areas, players that are willing to win 50-50 puck battles, players that are willing to put themselves in shot lanes. That's team toughness for me. And, again, there's a little bit of a physical element. Of course there is. There always going to be. But, at the end of the day, the team toughness is in all the little things for me.
Yeah, of course.
Hi, Lane. Rick Morgan with the Puget Sound Business Journal here. I'm just curious, with a new and sort of growing fan base, how that sort of impacted your decision-making in taking the job, or how it impacts how you approach the job? I mean, or is it just strictly stick to the ice and everything else will take care of itself?
No. I will tell you that I went to a Monday morning meeting about 2 hours ago, and when I came in and when I first met Samantha and Jason and Ron, I had this sense of family, and it was proven this morning with the staff meeting that we had. I was excited about the opportunity of being able to come into this environment. And as I said, when I hadn't been here a lot because I've been in the Eastern Conference, but when I came in here and when I was on the visiting bench, I kind of was like, whoa, this place is rocking. It's almost vibrating. So, I think Seattle itself is a tremendous sports town, and I'm excited to be here and be part of it.
Thanks, everybody. So what we'll do now is we'll just take a brief pause and just clear out this front row. And if the two of you can stay, we'll just do a photo op. So for the cameras and everybody, just if you want to get set up in the way that works best for you, and then we'll go from there. Thanks very much.